So Chelsea beat LAFC by 2 goals to 0. And we're going to look at how this happened and why Barcelona made a huge mistake by letting Marc Cucurella go. This guy has a lot of things that he's doing right, and we're going to look at exactly that and how he defends, but we'll also look at exactly some of the weaknesses that are still in the Chelsea team. Hello and welcome to Beyond Football. Here we break down games, so do make sure to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Let's start with how Chelsea played when they had the ball. So we start with Chelsea in attack with this back three of theirs, which includes Reece James tagging in to become part of a back three and with the other two defenders. And then in front of them, you would then find that in front of them, the two midfielders were sitting in front of them would be Moises Caicedo and Romeo Lavia. And then up front, it's the five. But I want you to pay special attention to this guy, Marc Cucurella, because he moves ahead of Lavia. He moves ahead of Moises Caicedo to be a floating 10 and be much closer to the goal than even the players that you'd expect to be in that position. And in his positioning, being up there, he causes a lot of confusion for the defenders of whichever team that Chelsea really will play against. Because if you can look at him right now, you see this and you don't really think this might be a heat map of a defender because he's more central than he is wide. Like you see most of the red is around there in the center circle, and then it's in that inside left channel, not necessarily hugging the touchline. And this is so that he can create the space for the winger who's out there, because when he starts his run, this is Cucurella who's highlighted, he's out wide, but look at the runs that he makes. The runs that he makes a run inward because that's where he wants to operate. And as he does that, that has now created a space for the winger to be free to receive the ball. He does this again here, and then he moves inward. And now his winger, Uneto, is able to get the ball. But Cucurella is not just having a red heat map in the middle because he was playing there when they had the ball. Even when they were pressing, which we're going to look at more in detail soon, he was there, jumping into midfield to win the ball back. And this is how actually Chelsea scored their goal. He pressed, they won the ball, they transitioned, and they went and they scored, and it was 1-0. You also have to check here in the second half, because Chelsea then brought on this guy, not him. He brought on this guy, Enzo Fernandez. So when Enzo Fernandez came onto the game, that brought a more attacking player, because Enzo Fernandez, as much as he's more of an 8, really, so he goes box to box, but they did not want him to worry much about the first box. They wanted him to worry about the other box. So since this was the case, that meant now Cucurella was no longer going to move further than Moises Caicedo, but was going to join him and be a double pivot, another pivot alongside him. And as you can see now highlighted, Enzo Fernandez would then move further up the pitch to be able to be found in those positions. Once again, when there's transitions, Cucurella is there to then try and win the ball, helping Moises Caicedo, and then they can transition. Now, for the second goal, you see once again that Cucurella is moving into that midfield position alongside Caicedo. And you can see here, this is Enzo Fernandez making his run forward. And later on, you can see he's now further ahead of Cucurella. And few seconds later, as you can see Cucurella there behind, few seconds later, Enzo Fernandez is now in the box and is able to tag that goal in, and the score is 2-0. Beautiful, beautiful play and understanding of the roles of each player and the different profiles of the players that Enzo Maresca does have. But we also have to look at how Chelsea were then aiming to defend in this game. So they did this in two ways. So for starters, you will see that they were pressing in some sort of a 4-4-2, right? So they had the 4-4-2, but is it really a 4-4-2? Because now, if you look at other patterns during the game, you will see that it wasn't always the strict 4-4-2, because you see up there highlighted again, the same man, Cucurella, moving so tight to press. And then there's a pattern that you start noticing in this game. It's the fact that it wasn't actually just a 4-4-2, but it was more of a man marking system. As you can see, everyone in the picture has an arrow pointed at someone because there's always someone to mark. And they were not just trying to say, let's block passes into the middle. No, no, no. Everyone catch your own man, because in this game, they could also afford to do that because they are playing against a team that what's the word? They fancy themselves against. So in this way, they were also able to just go man for man and mark everyone. The one who's on the top left corner, there's also someone who's coming in behind him to press. So in this way, as you can see again in this shot, everyone is man marking someone. And this thing was forcing LAFC to then not be comfortable when they were playing. As such, Chelsea FC did not have a chance. Now, we have to look at another thing that I think we need to talk about. So, Chelsea are great attacking, they are great defensively. That does not mean they do not have weaknesses and vulnerabilities. In fact, these vulnerabilities were exploited in this game. With better quality, Chelsea would have been in trouble. But obviously, they're playing a team that is in MLS and they're playing in the Premier League. So, look here. So, this is Chelsea pressing tightly. They are trying to go their man for man marking. But then 1-2 passes, and then the ball is switched to the other side. The ball is in their box. But because of quality, they fail to do the right thing. Once again, they press in the middle. That is LAFC. They turn over the ball, and the next thing they're in the box. Once again here, if this is a better player, what does he do? He plays that pass. But no, he doesn't do that. Instead, he tries to bring the ball back to his left foot, and then he shoots. It's not a bad shot, but a better player makes that pass. Again, this is a transition Chelsea just attacked. The next thing you see is that Loris passes the ball into midfield, and then one through ball, we are through. Another player once again thinks there is a player who's running into the penalty spot. Play the ball to him, he will just have an easy tap in. But instead, he tries to go for glory. As a result, the ball is saved by the goalkeeper. You see this thing again because now the one through ball goes wide, and now instead of maybe finding a pass or taking a better shot because no one is pressing him, he takes a shot and then he misses. And you have to watch this again. So here, this is LAFC. They have the ball and they are being pressed. So when the ball is played, you have one midfielder moving wide and then the wing attacking in. Fernandes completely forgets, and now there's a through ball and the ball is played wide. This, by the way, comes courtesy of the fact that Cucurella was trying to be more aggressive centrally. So while he was trying to be more aggressive centrally, that leaves space wide. And since Enzo Fernandez naturally wants to stay central, he also gets sucked in inside. And because of that, now LAFC, as you can see, if we play this thing again, Enzo wants to stay central, and then Cucurella wants to be tight on that other defender. Then the ball is played outside, and none of them are there, and the ball is crossed, and it's almost a goal. You also have to see this once again. The ball is played on the right-hand side, one switch of the ball, and then it's 1v1 with the keeper. So these are things that have to be taken care of by Chelsea before the season starts, because they are taking this seriously. So these are the tactics that they will likely be using in this upcoming season. In fact, they were using this kind of system as well in the previous season. But what did you guys make of Chelsea's performance? And do make sure to subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.